Short break from being a PE teacher. Let me put on my history hat for just a moment. 1897, thereabouts, Mary Church Terrell calls February 14th Frederick Douglass Day. Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist, great landowner in the Upper Eastern Seaboard, that was born enslaved, did not have an official date of birth that was known to him. So he adopted Valentine's Day, February 14th, as his birthday. And so 1897, Mary Church Terrell says Frederick Douglass Day on February 14th. Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson, February 7th, declares that the second week of February would be Negro History Week, anchored by Lincoln's birthday on the 12th of February and Frederick Douglass's birthday on the 14th. So, the second week of February, 1926, blacks in America began recognizing Negro History Week. Okay? Carter G. Woodson started it this week, 99 years ago. Then in the late 60s, with the advent, the onset, the clamor for African American studies, black studies, ethnic studies courses on many PWI campuses as well as HBCUs. At Kent State, they said, we're going to expand this to Black History Month, not merely Negro History Week or Black History Week. We're going to go Black History Month. In 1976, President Gerald Ford extended, did I say Ford in 76? Yeah. Ford recognized it at the, was it Ford or Carter? Okay. 76 though, the White House, because I think Ford was on his way out and Carter on his way in, I think 76 to 80. So it was probably Carter. But I want to give Ford credit right now. So let me just do that. And if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, no big deal. 76, the White House, the President of the United States, whoever it was, whether it was the exiting Gerald Ford or the entering James Carter, recognized Black History Month following the Kent State Black Student Union from nearly a decade earlier. Then Reagan again did so in 1984, recognizing it nationally through the White House. So, fun part is, we started this 1926. Colleges expanded it late 1960s. 1976, 50 years after we'd already been celebrating it, the White House recognized it, right? And so, welcome aboard. But let me say this, because this is very important. The mistake that we make with Black History Month, or recognizing the Negro in history, is that for the majority of persons, populations, schools, districts, for the majority, they only teach about accomplishments made by blacks, Americans of African descent, during this week, this month. Whereas Carter G. Woodson, when establishing Negro History Week, said, along with activities and suggestions for the week, was that it was going to highlight everything that they had learned, the students had learned in the previous 51 weeks, right? So this was not going to be the first time you hear the name Mary Church Terrell. This is not going to be the first time you hear Frederick Douglass, or the first time that you read about Ida Bell Wells Barnett, or Granville T. Woods, who made the rail car, right? So that we could have subways and amusement parks, right? Granville T. Woods. It's not going to be the first time that you hear about Lewis Latimer or the brother that with the almanac, Benjamin Banneker, right? The guy that made a working clock out of wood pieces. Most incredible mind. It's not going to be the first time that you hear about Denmark Vesey, right? Who led the Haitian Revolution. It's not going to be the first time that you hear these names, or that we study about Nat Turner's rebellion, or the rebellion of the Louisiana Rebellion, 1811. It's not going to be the first time, right? Following the Haitian Revolution that started 1791 and ran through 1804. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be the first time. This is going to be to highlight what they've learned in the previous year. Does that make sense? Okay. So my marching orders for you date back to February 7th, 1926, which is to include the Negro in history throughout the year. Not just say Oprah was the first, female black millionaire, blah, blah, blah. Great. Not to say that there's 6 in America now, or thereabouts, whatever. Not just that, right? Yes, Magic Johnson won a bunch of championships. He ran a bunch of, businesses successfully. He owns a bunch of franchises. He's got 20-odd world championships, yada, yada, yada. Okay? Not just that. But that you learn about those that still live. Attorney Fred Gray, who was Martin Luther King Jr.'s personal attorney. That we learned about Claudette Colvin. The teenager who was 15, dark-skinned, who had just learned about her rights through Negro History Week, was a mentee of Rosa Parks, and who knew her rights and was sitting in the exit row, which was it was the DMZ basically. But she was dark-skinned, and she was pregnant and not married. So she couldn't be the face of the civil rights movement, right? We needed a fair-skinned, married secretary of the NAACP to be the face of the Montgomery bus boycott following, the national attention from Emmett Till's murder. When we're putting all this timeline together, Emmett Till was 14 when he was kidnapped from his family's home at night, murdered. Emmett Till is 4 months older than my dad, who is with us today and walks the earth. We took that trip from Kansas just January 2nd. So this stuff we're not talking about, again, Fred Gray walks the earth. Claudette Colvin lives in Harlem today. Ruby Bridges is 68, and I follow her on Instagram. Ruby Bridges, the little 6-year-old girl that got walked into that desegregated schools in Louisiana when she was 6 years old. She's 68 years old. I follow her on Instagram. This isn't that long ago. We have not yet. Have we made progress? Sure, we've made progress. Are we anywhere near human equality? No. So let's continue the work. I invite you to not obey in advance as related to government employees, quitting based on a promise from a known liar. Right? So let's not do that. Okay? Do not obey in advance. Resist on your level. Do not quit your post. Stay where you are. Be productive. And let your little light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. That's what our ancestors did. Last word. Don't you ever say again that I'm not my ancestors. I'll beat that up. You watch it. You blaspheme it.